so close. It seems far, but we're not alone. If we turn back now, then we'll never know. We'll go where the sky is gold.
Good evening and welcome back to Keskalokil after my week of holiday where I've come back and gone, well, what? I'm in the middle of a goblin siege. Well, I'm not actually. I'm at the start of a goblin siege. Indeed, strictly it hasn't started yet because I haven't replied to their petition to presumably ask for some artifact that I'm not going to give them, or at least that I might give them if I knew I could work out how. So, yes, this is where we seem to be. Let's see if we can work out what's happening. So this, I can remember, is my my goblin armour melting system, where the goblins leave their armour lying around and we shovel it all into this magma smelter and copper bars come out. And this railway was used to allow me to somewhat drain bits of the river. And I think we concluded that the water actually gets into the river at the seaward end somehow. And that thus it might be practical to drain upstream of the floodgates. We do seem to have a bunch of stuff possibly jamming them at the moment. We might want to experiment with that. Though, yes, it was kind of a little awkward draining. We could drain this section reliably, I think, down to there, but very slowly because there's only one drain here. But that kind of suggests that we might be able to, if we put in another batch of floodgates, reliably drain most of the middle of the river. Sadly, the drainage mechanism I put in there, I broke shortly after building it and it doesn't work anymore. So Yes. So that's what we were doing with the magma, and we were kind of in the process of trying to build the automatically refilling the thing with magma mechanism. Right, yes, which I think was meant to work by the minecart zooming, going along here, down this ramp here, going into the magma and immediately out again. So there's like a two squares of ramp, and then going round these two corners and stopping there so that then it could be guided safely back up again. Because yes, those are two downward ramps, and so you go down and then back up. But I don't think we're going to attempt that right now. So, in a sense, our big problem is that we have this great big mob of goblins, and still no automated way of dealing with them. Plus, like, the dwarves all seem to be busy doing things around them. Like, there's this dwarf who is apparently busy storing an item in a stockpile somewhere. Try on pausing and seeing which way they're going. Nowhere. Oh no, right, yes, they moved. Not quite sure what route they're trying to take. Where are you trying to go? What are you carrying? You're carrying a lead cage containing a raven. Containing an agitated raven. So that should be heading for this stockpile here. Right, yes, okay, you are actually going in that kind of direction. Good. Have we, like, caught any goblins just because they happen to be going past the... No, there's just another raven cage down there. Well, for now, let's forbid that raven cage so that no one tries to come and collect it while we work out what to do with the goblins. There's quite a mob of them down there. The fact that they're split into two groups might be helpful to us. We've got an awful lot of caged goblins here waiting to be piled into the system for launching them into the sea. Right. So, I suppose we get our military organised in the traditional fashion. We should probably do some more actually organising the military, but like getting everyone into the military, because I think we probably need that now. But for now, let's do the usual things. Get everyone into the right place. Wait for our dwarf hauling that lead cage to go somewhere. Where they're trying to get to, I've no idea. I know where they're trying to get to, just don't understand their routing. What are you doing? Yeah, that's lovely. I wish I knew what the item was that you were trying to take to the stockpile, so I could tell you to stop. But to be fair, you're going to be fairly quick, I suspect, once you've picked it up, compared to the person hauling the lead cage with a raven in. Oh, it's another cage. Is it an empty one, though? It looks like it might be. Yes. I mean, I could forbid that cage, but you'd only go and find another one you wanted to move. And you're going to overtake our raven cage hauler anyway. Wonder why the goblins have all stopped here then, eh? Right, military dwarves are slowly getting themselves organised. More dwarves are going in the wrong directions. This would be another advantage of putting the more dwarves in the military, is that fewer of them would do stupid things at this stage, because they would all actually have go and do engage in military activities instead of hauling things to put him back in stockpiles. You need to get back to relative safety before I release the goblins. Plus we want the military to be more or less in place. I'm now thinking of the possibility of hurling goblin cages at other goblins. Right. Might move my thing IRC over to the correct computer in a moment. Right, so how are things going? I think most of the dwarves are now out of the dangerous area, so we could... Oh no, there's another one hauling another cage. Wait a bit longer before we tell the goblins we don't like them. Because obviously a civilian dwarf will be in some trouble if the goblins decide that they should be a target. But on the other hand, at some point the goblins will get bored and attack anyway. And we quite like the fact that they're in two groups at the moment. Right, so... Oh, the goblins are all the way up here now. Yeah, we do really need to tell them to go away before they like wander into the fortress under flag of truce. But we do also rather need all this. What are you doing? You're going to store an item in a stockpile as well, are you? The problem is I can't tell what the item is. I mean, I suppose I could just mass forbid everything on the east side of the river, which might do the trick. Right, everything out there is not to be collected. Is that good enough? Yes, right, that worked. Wait for them to get back through the crowd of goblins. Wait a bit longer for everyone to be reasonably clear of the goblins, including the people carrying cages, people carrying bits of goblins, etc. And then... Right, is that looking sensible? Can't immediately see any idiots on the wrong side of the river now. So let's just close some of these. Oh, we've got more leopard cubs, good. Oh, do I need to pay attention to what they're wanting? Yes, I probably do. So what have you currently got? Too many bracelets. You currently have silver bars, right. So let's wait for metal to turn up on the list. Metal, logs. Oh, what a surprise, someone needs more wood. I really need some forbidden logs around that I can unforbid when someone gets a strange mood, because It seems to take a lot of effort to chop down trees. We don't seem to be much good at it anymore. But for now, let us see if we have any things constructed out of wood that we could like just dismantle. How about these this bit of minecart track? There are bits of it that can be things that can be sensibly removed without like collapsing the whole thing or taking far too much effort. I mean, those walls, which are mostly there to stop people getting run over by the flip-flops, are entirely made of wood. Let's just demolish them and turn them into something else. That will provide some logs. Right, so now I think we can safely tell the goblins we don't like them. No, we want all the loss of life you can organise. Which is kind of entertaining because it turns out the goblins are already over on this side of the river. So they're presumably going to, the few goblins over here are presumably going to get rapidly marmalised, while the rest of them try to work out what to do. So the aquatic dwarves currently have a station order placing them about here, which is probably a good fallback. I think someone just got their teeth knocked out violently into the sea. I'm a bit concerned. Okay, no, that square has a stupid number of dwarves on it. So we've dealt with the first few goblins reasonably well. Things like this. I've improved my dodging. That was unsatisfying because the next thing that happened to me was that my head was cut off. Right, goblins are happily falling into the river. That's good. That's what the river's there for. Dwarves are like fairly disorganised because I didn't really wait long enough. But since the goblins are pretty disorganised at the moment, this isn't going too badly for us. All being well, the dwarves will eventually work out where they're meant to be. Note here several dwarves who are very definitely not where they're meant to be, but are happily dealing with the fact that the dwarves are also, yes, someone has unsurprisingly managed to get themselves killed. I think I probably should have put slightly more effort into getting our people into a sensible position so that there wouldn't be, for instance, one dwarf apparently fighting his way southwards through an enormous mob of goblins. Like 9 notable kills, 101 other kills, including 45 female goblins and 33 male goblins. But I'm a bit worried that that getting tired when there are this many goblins around might be dangerous. even if you are a legendary axe dwarf. You know, I'm even more concerned about this allegedly healthy mace dwarf, who is nonetheless having trouble breathing. I think healthy may mean we haven't yet got him to a doctor. That all looks fine. It really would be good if you guys weren't about to run headlong into that enormous mob of goblins. Like, this is all going all right, but I would really like it if you would turn around and go home. I mean, not go home. Well, yes, go home. But because as it stands, something very bad is going to happen to you quite soon if you can't restrain yourself. I'm slightly tempted to explicitly take you out of military mode temporarily in the hope that you'll go home. So you're in the salty inks. I'm going to go salty inks, cancel order. That wasn't good enough. You're still heading in that direction, even though you're now, oh right, you're in a soldier no activity mode.
Give the salty inks a specific order to do something else.
I don't think I can give them one that's quite what I want. What I can do is switch their schedule from staggered training to off-duty. Which I think might then, yes, cause him to become temporarily civilian. I really need that to apply to you as well. And you're presumably in a different squad, or in Splatter the Lyrical Seas. I cancelled your orders. Will that be enough? No. So if you guys can get back away from there a bit. Let's now give those there, station yourselves here order again. They're still moving the right way now. Well, they're not moving the wrong way. Don't know why you're standing still, mind, because you're quite a long way from your assigned station location. All right, they are moving. Good, right. So that worked quite well, albeit with a lot of faff. I think now we wait a bit and hope that more dwarves will actually get their asses up here. Quite a lot of them are in like get provisions mode. And this lot we really need to get into the military in the first place. So the goblins are building up a small mass there. But like small groups of goblins are good. They're easily killed if they like bother to actually approach. Hell, if we're lucky, several of them will just drown themselves. And actually, drowning is probably quite a good way to kill goblins because it keeps the corpse in one piece and means you can recover the armour afterwards. We should definitely organise things so that we can just drown them. I suggest an enormous pond with a bridge over it. Triggered the moment a goblin steps off the far side of the bridge.
Name it troubled water.
And like, obviously that will mean some goblins survive, but we know we can kill goblins. We would just rather not have to kill all of them ourselves. The goblins are being weirdly reluctant to leap over the river today.
I think they've learned that they always land in weapon traps.
I know they usually land in the river.
Well, that also seems like a good reason not to do it.
Yeah, true. My dear dwarf, why are you in the sea? I mean, I think you'll probably be okay because I bet you can swim. And for once, I think the water is actually not excessively deep there because I carefully carved a beach in order to make falling into the sea reasonably safe. So you'll probably be all right, but you're not meant to be there. Right, so now my squads charge in and start, we hope, making mincemeat of some dwarves. Dwarves, goblins. Right, the main body of the goblin force has now arrived, which might be fine were if the dwarves were anywhere near them. I think we need to tell at least all of the swimming capable dwarves that now is a good time to advance. Otherwise, that one swords dwarf is probably going to have a bad day. Okay, they're now in the river, which is probably relatively safe from goblin attacks.
You say that, but I've been seeing the goblins shooting projectiles.
Yes, it's true. But they tend to miss if they do that. Like, I mean, to be fair, my dwarves, usually the way actually the dwarf gets into trouble is they get tired, and if they can't attack, they're probably a lot safer from tiredness. Yes, there are an awful lot of projectiles there. You don't look happy. Happily, you're a goblin. Hooray! Overexerted, winded, faint, heavy, bleeding, injured. It's just rather hard to tell what the character is under all that. Apparently there's a pale grey G in under the brown and X and red exclamation mark. Right, so where are the goblins now? I mean, I'm slightly. Are they now mostly this bunch of green ones down here? Can't see many melee goblins left. It might be okay. Let's have a look at the unit list. There are quite a few of them still. Oh, I suppose we don't need to worry about the ones that are marked as brackets caged, do we? So we have 3 bowmen. We've got a couple of lashers still alive. We sort this by, yes, that's better. So yeah, there's still a reasonably decent number that are ground based, but I think not enough that I need to be very worried. Especially if my dwarves can be reasonably organised. Because once they run up to the ranged goblins, they can take them apart pretty quickly. Yes, if the goblins are foolish enough as to spread themselves out. Right, I think that we've just dealt with everyone. There are no longer any uncaged invaders, so I think that constitutes a success. Now let's reclaim all of the objects here, which may not be an entirely wise move because I'm pretty sure a quantity of them were forbidden for good reasons, but whatever. So we did appear to lose one dwarf there, though whether it was for good reason is another matter. How is our strange mood coming along? So you've managed to find yourself quite a few things. Let's have a look through the list. Metal bars, logs, tanned hides, logs, raw green glass is your problem. Okay, I think we can make that. I mean, we're going to make it a fairly long way away, but make several of them. Raw green glass is one of these things that dwarves often want for strange moods. Possibly I need like some kind of a strange moods stockpile. Pink Bee Sauce have any more? Oh, he can't hear me, can he? Someone else can answer. But yes, the answer is yes, they've attrited me. Well, something has attrited me one dwarf this siege. I don't actually know that it was the goblins. My current belief is it was the goblins. At some point, someone really needs to. What the? We've captured a giant jaguar. Right, that's going to be fun. So if we were to build a thing for drowning goblins, what would it look like? Probably want to be somewhere just to the south of where we're currently doing things, in particular because that would put it... We could then just make it an extension of the river. Like we could widen the river out this way and build a bridge over it, and then have it triggered by a bunch of pressure plates along the north edge. Possibly with some walls to encourage the goblins to pass over the pressure plates, so we don't have to build too many pressure plates. And then if we had a means of draining that, we could then extract the goblins from it, but that would actually be a relatively low priority. That seems like quite a useful thing, because it would like reduce the quantity of goblins in a way that would be fairly safe, at least for dwarves who could swim. Yeah, the tricky thing, of course, is going to be that if we design it in the obvious way, it will trigger when dwarves walk over those pressure plates as well, which would be kind of unfortunate. We do have ways of... I mean, it would be okay to have it require some kind of manual preparation. I'm slightly dubious about it actually requiring pulling a lever when it needs to be triggered, because that requires careful timing of lever pulls, which we're bad at. But we're not that bad at doing something before a major goblin siege, like does anything that matters. So it could work. We could, of course, ensure that it's like practical to have this thing drain without needing to be able to drain the river by putting in floodgates before we cut the connection to the river, and like having pumps or what have you. In particular, we could probably pump off the edge of the map fairly simply. So I'm just thinking about how we would do this in a way that wouldn't keep dropping dwarves into the drink. Oh, could we arrange things so that the only some of the squares have pressure plates on, and by means of mechanically controlled doors we switch, or bridges, we switch which paths are open, so that only once the goblins, when we switch it into siege mode, it opens the routes that will cause people to walk over pressure plates and closes the routes that will allow people not to walk over pressure plates, and vice versa. It feels like it's getting terribly complicated for like what should be a piece of simple defence.
Well, I got completely wrong mental image when you said go into siege mode.
Well, I mean, it kind of is. Um, so yeah, actually we could do that fairly simply if, like, shortly after, so we could have a trench that at the bottom of it has a bunch of traps, has a bunch of pressure plates, and then a lever that uncovers, that retracts the bridges that would usually cover that trench, which would mean a single lever that switches between two routes. Indeed, we could arrange, that would work reasonably well, wouldn't it? We could arrange that there is essentially only one way, only one or at least a few ways out of the trench on the side towards the fortress, all of which have pressure plates on them. And then the goblins would probably tend to walk up those. So how big a bridge can we build? If we want a retracting bridge, okay, we don't seem to get a box for it, which is kind of inconvenient, and we get told off if we try to build it okay. That's some weird. Oh, because I haven't clicked the first corner, right. Oh no, that's what. Let's just try doing one that's... The thing is, the trees really need to be cleared away. So I could totally do one that wide, which makes me think that we might be able to go out to a kind of square size, but we do need to clear some trees first. And we know that cutting down trees is a bit difficult. Well, let's schedule cutting down, let's schedule felling a bunch of trees just to the south of the floodgates and in an area that's like 20 squares tall. That's going to take a little while.
I see that we've given up on the idea of ever being in the elves' good books.
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly annoying because it'll annoy the wildlife, but the elves aren't really a problem. But I really want the space for killing goblins. I mean, I suppose we could bring some magma over and cause a forest fire instead, which might be more efficient.
I feel that this is not the greatest ecological move ever in the history of wartime. I mean, that feels a little trifle inelegant.
So, is anyone working on that green glass? So that's quite a high priority for me. Not at the moment, no. Is that because we have no glass workers set up? You don't seem to have a group for them, which would suggest that everyone should do them. Let's check the task list and check that that is the case. Glass making is for everyone, right? That's fine, as long as everyone actually do it. Still, the beach worked. No one drowned in the sea, despite some of them falling in the sea this time. That's a great improvement. but I am a bit concerned about whether anyone's actually going to do the things I want them to do. Yes, I mean, it's kind of sensible to load up the cage traps because the cage traps have dealt with a reasonable number of that goblin invasion. I do wonder if, for instance, we should try to move our pasture closer to where the goblins arrive, but they will just act as a meat shield there, and that's probably not worth doing, really. No, the meat shield, sheep, etc. And like, that's not going to slow the goblins down much. We don't really we usually get enough warning that we don't actually need to slow them down. Oh, meanwhile, we should build a new wall around here out of some material that isn't wood. So I think the south dwarf washer is still working properly, isn't it? So it might actually be, if we felt like we had some spare dwarves, we could put some in it, but I'm a bit like, there's too much stuff that actually needs to be done. Right, someone is working on making raw green glass. Excellent. That should help with the strange mood. What else does the strange mood want anyway? Oh, we can't tell. No, yes, we can. There they are. They're still in there for now. So you... metal bars, logs, tanned hides, logs, we got them. Raw green glass is what we're working on. Rough gems, surely we have rough gems. Stone boulders, no problem. Bones, must have plenty of bones. Right, I don't think the rest of that's going to be a problem. There's stone boulders right here. Actually, one possible problem is that raw green glass is going to be made a very long way away. Maybe we should just add a quick make raw green glass here as well, in case it's more convenient and we happen to get it done quicker. Because like walking all the way down to Z level minus 100 is probably an excellent way to go mad. We do have some woodcutters assigned, don't we? Yes, plenty of them. They just think there are other higher priorities. We do have a button for make this a very high priority, don't we? Right. Let's see if that helps. Two people are now making raw green glass, which is probably going to be sufficient. Yes, I think this is the Raven corpse that Seb is commenting on IRC, which is splattered with raven blood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 times spattered with raven blood. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times spattered with giant hamster blood, and then another layer of raven blood and another layer of giant hamster blood.
I assume that there was a raven hamster battle at some point.
Possibly. Oh, I should lower the upstream bridges to help with disposing of bits of goblin, probably. Downstream bridges, sorry. Right, our moody dwarf has gone off to fetch their glass, so if they're going to survive this or not is decided now, I think. Is that someone cutting down a tree? I don't think it is. No, it's someone cleaning a tree. Are you sure that's, like, useful? I think there are higher priorities than cleaning the trees.
Like disposing of the dead raven body.
Well, no, I mean cutting the tree down would be more helpful.
Maybe they can't cut it down until it's clean.
Oh dear, I think possibly our dead dwarf was actually up a tree and not killed by the goblins.
Right, so did this dwarf starve to death?
Probably, yes.
Right, good. Or die of thirst or loss of
Yes.
or falling out of trees. States.
I mean, the tree is probably... I mean, I'm not sure they were actually cleaning the tree. I think they might have been cleaning the blood off the ground near the tree, but still. There are higher priorities. That minecart is slowly being filled with bits of goblin, that's good. part of the problem is that there are so many bits of goblins lying around. Oh dear, what's going on here? You have agitated giant peach-faced lovebirds.
That's distressing.
Yes. Which have just killed a dwarf. What? That's a problem. Who's on patrol at the moment? We need someone with adequate amounts of weaponry there. You're not very dangerous. You should be a squad patrolling somewhere out here, who are thus like actually in their armour and in vaguely the right kind of mood. Maybe we just need to say, all military dwarves, come down here and do something about this, please. No, we don't need the goblin bowmen who are presumably in cages there somewhere to be killed, thank you. Or possibly who are already dead. No, right. All being well, any military dwarves who are anywhere will now come and sort this out. Like, I'm pretty sure the giant peach-faced lovebirds won't take much killing. It's just that they're going to take more killing than I'd like. Okay, this dwarf has climbed into a tree in order to chase the peach-faced lovebird. I hope they work out how to get out of the tree again. Looks like many of the dwarves have worked out how to get out of that tree, though possibly not all of them. There is a staircase over there, so that might help, yes. Please don't get stuck in that tree. Good. What? Now there's a load of agitated giant wild boars. Those are probably going to be a problem as well.
Wild boars were already fairly giant. How giant is a giant one?
More so. At least it's unlikely to be necessary to chase the giant wild boars into trees.
Slash query makes a separate iris as I would do, where you can just start typing messages to that person. Like doing such messages without sending message. Yes. That's why I've noticed that I could use the person in school. And they generated.
Right, I think that's sorted now. Oh, we're even getting some trees cut down. Good. Yes, happily the party is now out of the tree. Gods now. Oh no, those aren't dangerous giant hamsters. Those are tame giant hamsters. Right, that's fine then. Kind of. What are you doing? All right, you're in a soldier no activity mood, are you? Which appears to involve hanging around down here. Okay. And some trained ravens. Yeah, that's fine. I would appreciate it if we could dispose of some more of the rubbish, but I accept that. That's not actually high on anyone's agenda, though I wish I had the faintest idea what was high on their agendas. Right, good. Our moody dwarf has actually started making their artifact, so that at least will not lead to serious unhappiness and death. So a giant wild boar appears to weigh about a ton. Simon was asking how big they could possibly be. Very. So probably like rhinoceros sized.
About 10 times the mass of an actual wild boar.
Yes.
That is, okay, a giant wild boar, fair enough.
So, yes, there is still an awful lot of cleaning up to do here. And like, while the cage traps do lead to fewer body parts lying around, they do still need like 2 objects to be moved to put them back into working order. Namely, the cage full of goblins needs to be taken away. Well, I mean, will be taken away, and a new empty cage needs to be installed in the trap. So, like, they're only slightly more efficient than a weapon trap for disposing of goblins. I mean, I suppose we don't bother trying to harvest the armour off goblins that end up in cage traps. So, in that respect, they're more efficient. Let's tag a few more. Giant peach-faced lovebird corpses for disposal. They will not naturally be disposed of properly. Someone needs to start putting the goblins into the goblin launcher. So which vehicle are you going to push? All right, you're actually riding on one. Okay, that's fine. At least, assuming you ever get out. Are you hungry? Oh, you're probably okay then. Presume someone will send a minecart in after you. And meanwhile, you get to be very good at swimming. There's also a bunch of goblins in the river, but let's not worry about getting them out until we've dealt with everything else that needs to be got. Everywhere else that there are goblins that need to be disposed of. There goes another tree.
Summon a sausage.
You've constructed a tall giant dingo bone helm. Thank you. I don't think that'll be as good as a steel one. Let's inspect it and see how it looks. So its name is Cogsack Imaz, the Palisade of Belts. It's a tall giant dingo bone helm. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. Tall incidentally modifies the helm and giant modifies the dingo. It is encrusted with rectangular granite cabochons, studded with silver, decorated with alder, giant hamster leather and emerald cut green glass gems, and encircled with bands of giant dingo bone, alder and oval blue garnet cabochons. So that's nice, but on the other hand it is a helm made of bone, so it's not very useful. Though it is quite valuable, because giant dingo bone is a fairly valuable kind of bone. We are now making extra wooden barrels because we've cut down some trees, which means we can probably store yet more food and drink, even though we have far too much food and slightly too much drink. Why is there a dead giant hamster there? Is there a dead giant hamster there? Yes, there's a giant hamster corpse here. Oh, it's already set up for being disposed of. It just hasn't been disposed of yet. So my hope is that some of our... oh, it's a forgotten beast. You're almost certainly not actually a problem. The forgotten beast Anu has come, a towering, one-eyed, eight-legged deer. Wow. It has a gaunt appearance, its olive hair is short and even, beware its webs. Right, a one-eyed, eight-legged, web-spinning deer. But it'll be in the caverns and we don't deal with the caverns. We leave the caverns to their own devices for the most part.
A web spinning deer.
Yes.
Spy deer man. Oh.
We probably want to get that dwarf out of that tree, which I think is best done just by cutting the tree down. That dead dwarf out of that tree. No, tree cutting, high priority. Be easier than carving a memorial to them. Odd, I haven't seen anyone melting things up here, are they? Are we still accidentally melting things with our coal-fired smelter? Let's go down and have a look. Thought we'd arranged to stop. Yeah, it looks like we've stopped. Good. Still recharging the cage traps. We're still like moving wood around and such from the trees we've cut down, though lots more trees that need clearing before we can embark. I mean, maybe it doesn't need. Now, the thing is that we need this trap to be big enough that we can expect most of a goblin squad to be on it when we drop them into the drink. Which does kind of mean, yeah, it needs to be quite large. Maybe we could cut down slightly fewer trees, but there is, of course, always the problem that the goblins can go round our fortifications because we can't build very close to the edge of the map. I suppose we can dig quite close to the edge of the map, can't we? Oh. Oh, maybe we can build bridges up to the edge of the map and we can dig to within 1 square of the edge of the map. So we could certainly not leave very much space at the edge of it. That's nice. I think maybe I should have marked all of this lot as priority 2 felling, so that the priority 1 tree down there can get done first. Keep going, oh, that's someone dressed in purple, that's probably the person I want, but everyone in this fortress is a doctor, so it's not really surprising that they're all purple when they're acting as civilians. Right. Maybe we should open a tavern so that we can try to attract more people, though I don't know if that'll work either. Are you going to cut down any more trees than this one, or are you just going to get distracted again immediately afterwards? I mean, admittedly, cutting down a tree does take our woodcutters a little while, so... Right, meanwhile, is there anything interesting going on? Oh, how's that dwarf who was in the... Right, good, they got out of the dwarf washer, so it is still... Well, I think it's functioning properly. Which direction does it run in? Yeah, you're learning anyway. Yes, that'll be fine. All right, good. We're going to get 3 at least. So that turns out to be the next one we're cutting down. Yes, dwarf corpse now properly on the ground. so that if we're lucky, someone will actually decide to go and put it in a coffin like it should be.
Well, I think this. There's a Hamilton cycle, but well, in that case, I think that's exactly right. That second question appeared at the time. Yes.
Right, so there should at least be a task for place item in tomb, though that always seems to be a rather low priority for the dwarves, which is a pity. Right, our tree cutting operation is now usefully underway. Then we're going to want to dig a moat and then build a bridge over it, and then try to work out how we operate that bridge in such a way that it can at least semi-automatically drop goblins into the moat, which we should then arrange to have filled with water, probably. Maybe leopards. I mean, I think we should probably have the war leopards once we have an adequate quantity of them. They should probably be after the trench. All right, there we are. So, no, someone has come to collect some of the armour from the person who fell out, who got stuck up a tree. That's not a helpful thing to do.
That was confusing because I was reading your line and the pink piece came through, and so I read takes any calls on la, which is my father, the bell ringer. I am the bell.
Right, so are you actually going to fell all of these trees in one batch? That would be nice. That would then allow me to start on the digging. Of course, whether the goblins will turn up and be... Actually, that tree we don't need to fell, because it's right on the edge of the map and we can't dig that square anyway. Go and find another one to do. Is it going to turn out you've now got distracted and won't cut any more trees for a while? Oops. Yes. Oh, well, that's fine. Get a bit of drink inside you. It'll be good for you. Broadly speaking. What are you doing? Going to pick up some equipment. Well, yeah, there's a lot of equipment to pick up. Kind of curious at how few copper bars are there rather than in this smelter, where presumably, yes, there are rather a lot waiting to be stored.
Calling it my approach is rather generous. My approach was to search the Rubik's Cube Hamilton cycle. Right, your approach. I think so was theirs, but your approach was to pick a Hamilton cycle. Then you had to go find out whether there was one, but you hadn't really where to go.
So if we
We did the ladies first of all,
we could like start by,
No, hold on. Which is which? I mean, E for oil, E for edges. You think it'll be easy?
if I do something like that. Let's leave a few squares before the river. Right, so yes, the very edge can't be channeled. And probably anything that still has a tree on it can't be channeled. Maybe let's not do that right now. I suppose we could do some of it.
Did you ever unforbid everything on the east side of the river?
Yes. And it's possibly unforbidden a bunch of stuff that should have stayed forbidden, but nah. In particular, all of the goblin armour will now be available, but that's probably not very bad. Right, I think we should quickly investigate whether there's any space in our... So, yes, in the Moons of Bolting, and then go... Okay, there are lots of people who are not in the military who nonetheless have military abilities. Why are you not in the military? Well, I should probably... let's at least arrange that the non-swimming squads are filled, and maybe we should then pay attention to whether anyone in them can swim. Because ideally we are going to want to get this lot back up to strength. So you're in the salty inks, so you almost certainly can swim. What I want is to find the people who are in the Moons of Bolting. Might take a while. Moons of Bolting are allegedly currently doing things. So you are... Sodel Atirog are in the Moons of Bolting, but an adequate swimmer. So that needs fixing. You should be moved into, say, the Salty Inks. I wonder if there's a good way I can make this easy for me to check. I mean, I could... What we could do initially is if we ask all of... I'm kind of now going to disrupt the entire fortress in order to make the administration simpler. But that feels like a kind of good military thing to do, doesn't it? Get all of the amphibious dwarves and tell them to go to a particular location, pretty much arbitrarily. Take the two non-amphibious but otherwise useful squads. Or rather take all of the non-amphibious squads, including the useless one, and change their schedule temporarily to off-duty. That way, everyone listed in here in a military role is in an amphibious squad, and everyone not listed in a military role is not in an amphibious squad. Then we rather tediously go through everyone who is not currently in a military role and go, is there a good reason why they shouldn't be in the military, and can they swim? And the answer for Udib Emel Dodok is they can swim very well, and but are missing one hand, and I try not to allow people with only one hand into the military. So you will get a name. Does that work correctly? Yes. That tells me why you're not in the military. Right, next. So you're not in the military, but you don't know how to swim. So we'll leave you for now. Catan Dilla Catan. Pretty decent swimmer, not in the military. So you can join the Salty Inks. You're not much good at fighting. They'll fix that. Now if I unpause, right, they then flip into military appearance, and so will not be on this list anymore. Right. So we'd already dealt with Ast Tholathel, hadn't we? Kol Shemezum. Actually, no, what have we done? We dealt with one-hand Emel Dodok. Ast Tholethal couldn't swim, yes. Kol Shemezum. You're only a dabbling swimmer, you can stay out of the military for now. Ezum Gankonos. You're an adequate swimmer, that's fine for our purposes. You're currently in the Veiled Smiths, you are now going to be moved. Except I've already forgotten your name. Ezum Gankonos. Gankonos. Right. Nil Uzoltithal. You are not much for swimmer. Udib Udist Geshud. You're not much for swimmer. Asen Zatitagus. Pretty decent swimmer. Currently in the moons of Bolting. Zasit Taguz. Right. We still have 2 more slots in the Salty Inks. Kogan Kibor. You're a militia captain. And not much for swimmer. Rith Tekudonshen. Not much for swimmer. Led Aludusim. Pretty good swimmer, but not in the military. Led Aludusim now is in the military. Sodel Lukonos. Pretty good swimmer. Currently in the moons of Bolting. I've got the name already. Sodel. Right, so the salty inks are now at full strength. We've still got space in Splatter the Lyrical Seas. So, Mommers Avos Lular. That's a very familiar name, isn't it? Is a skilled swimmer. I should have been checking everyone for the number of hands, really.
Skilled swimmer, very rusty.
Well, that's how you end up if you swim a lot.
What was I say, made of iron.
Um,
That's what happened to that's what would happen to the Iron Dames if they were swimming.
does have both her hands.
Oh, she is an Iron Dame, great.
All right, she got transferred out into the Lardy Larks. Well, we'll bring her back for now. We should probably worry about who's really unhappy and stick them in the Lardy Larks, but we'll do other things first. Actually, let's quickly check. Was she in the really unhappy end of the spectrum? No. Anyway, Eral Duthnorthikut. Eral Duthnorthikut is a decent swimmer.
I'm briefly distracted. Oh, it's gone now.
Hmm?
Briefly distracted by every time you pull up one of those dwarf status displays, the heading lines at the top are in the trans flag colours.
Trans dwarf swimming here.
So, Nishres and Massos, don't think we've checked them yet. Competent swimmer. Also in the Lardy Larks. I should quickly go, if we're going to do this. Nish is green now, though. Zuglar Shinlaw. Only a novice swimmer can stay out of the military for now. Zassit Ithenshah. Actually, Zuglar Shinlaw should be in the Lardy Larks, really. But still. Zassit Inethshah. Only a novice swimmer. Avos Omut Logem. No. Datan Akud Kadol. Looks like they can swim. So Datan Akud Kadol. Ushri Muscat Nokkal. Nokkal, no. Solon Stizashonol. No. Bomrek Lolor Lagon, sorry. No. We need to get more swimming training going, don't we? Toulon Athaligath. Adequate swimmer, yes. How are your legs? How are your arms, rather? Yes, you'll be fine. Toulon Goden Zonderdock. Yes, you'll do. What? Goden Zonderdock, right. I've already checked Ushat, I think so. Yes. Zulban Zondish. What? Zulban Zondish Nogle Schmokes Eshtan.
That's definitely a name.
Zulban Helmemoisend, the Savage Cage of Smiths. Can you swim though? No. Asen Sedurustus. No. Ficod Bimobor Lether Kerol Berdan. No, can't swim either. Maybe famous for other things, but you can't swim. Mesbuth Rimoral. Oh yes, you can swim. Mebzuth. Let's check your limbs. Yeah. Right, that's another squad filled. Okay, the Waters of Twinkling appears to have 2 members at the moment. So how far have we got? Kib Raku Altar. I can't remember about that one. You will do. You're a legendary axe dwarf. Why aren't you in the military? I think we might leave the mayor out. Endok Muskannikus. No. Erith Crostam, etc. No. And finally, Rigoth Nimol Stinthed. No. Right, okay, so now we have put into our amphibious squads all dwarves who can swim, I think. But yes, that should, now I should stop doing the stupid things. So let's cancel the spurious station order and oops, hang on, maybe I shouldn't have done it like that. Put everyone back onto their correct schedules. Which I think is constant training for the Lardy Larks and staggered training for the other two. I think that's right. Right. I tried to do much of that with the game unpaused in the hope that things would happen while I wasn't watching. There seem to be a lot of trees not marked for cutting down now. Oh, I accidentally unmarked the trees, of course, when I unmarked the digging. Stoats. Right, well, let's mark some medium priority, or highish priority tree felling again then. Still, I'm sure some other things. I mean, of course, not much was happening because anyone who could swim was being ordered to go over there and stand very still so you don't get in the way. They can now go back to their normal tasks. Right, so it's still going to take a while, that felling, and I don't really want to distract people too much from it. I mean, admittedly, only the woodcutters can properly be distracted from it. Let us investigate these cages a bit. We've somehow got a giant cave swallow. I'm a little worried about that because they shouldn't be out here. Appears to be a cage that can be demolished. We have a crab there which we could try to train, though I don't know whether it's worth the hassle. We still have this problem of roosters randomly blundering into cage traps, it looks like. Your take. Let's see if there's anything else here that we can just release. You're not actually in that cage. So I think we should at very least be trying to train some of the larger and more interesting creatures we have. Ah, right, the rooster is not actually ours. Oh dear, are we down to one competent animal trainer now? That's a pity. We may have to just put someone else on the job so that they can learn how to do it. Let's get the difficult training being done by the good person. We'll randomly pick the next person in the list for the... we can just set it to any trainer, but have them train all the ravens. I mean, not all the ravens are currently in properly installed cages, but partly because I like the idea of someone who has like a vast army of ravens trailing after them. Is this Sodelaterog by any chance? Yes. You can tell they're Sodelaterog. They have a squad of giant hamsters trailing after them, which might be quite fun if they ever end up in a battle. Are they in the military? I think they are actually. Yes, they're a member of the Salty Inks. I don't know if when they go into battle they end up with like 10 giant hamsters trailing behind them, occasionally getting into fights with goblins. Right. Mostly I'm hoping someone comes and cuts more of these trees down. I mean, we could. There is a largish area here that we could dig out now. That entire area is not blocked by trees or anything else being in the way, just objects lying on the floor, which aren't really a problem. Yes, we are still brewing things which might possibly be unnecessary. I suppose actually a way to ban that kind of thing is by having by setting the relevant labour to nobody does this, which might be cleaner than forbidding the stills and such. Oh, instead of digging a hole in the ground and then flooding it, might it be simpler simply to build a wall around the thing? Oh no, the problem with building a wall around it is that we can't go right up to the edge of the map. I mean, we still can't go right up to the edge of the map. But it would save a lot of digging and tree cutting if we just flooded it at ground level. And it would be much easier to drain again afterwards because we could just open a door and let it all pour back out into the river. Let's do that instead. This will make things a lot simpler. Even though we'll then have to do something to make the edge of the map less tempting. I suppose we could just pack the edge of the map with traps. No, but we can't build traps that close to the edge either. Clearly we need to somehow plant trees filling this gap. So that's as close to the edge as I can get. I mean, we've got plenty of copper bars now. Let's just build that entire wall out of copper. Look very confusing for the goblins. Right, I don't know if that'll work, but... And then we'll have to be slightly... Actually, let's leave a small gap on that side that we'll use to get at the insides for maintenance. Then we're going to want a pump, which can probably be run by hand, frankly. So, And then we'll need some more wall and a door, I suppose. Actually, yes, let's put the door down here, and that can dump water straight into the river, which might or might not work. It might overflow the river, but we can always open a drain before we start. All right, we need the wall to be built first. That'll take a little while. I think we may have run out of unassigned copper bars on this side of the world, and all the remaining ones are like deep down underground. So we should probably melt down more goblinite in order to make more copper bars, in order to block more of the thing area. So then we are going to want at least a little bit of a ramp on this side. I mean, ideally we'd build the ramp. Let's leave a bit of a gap at the river edge to discourage the goblins going up there. If we insist on making it out of copper, it'll all have to be pulled up from... Okay, no, we don't apparently have copper as an option now. They're very strange. Well... What? No, that didn't work. That's better. Right, and then we are going to want to dig like a little moat out here. To discourage the goblins from coming round this side. Actually, why don't we make it a big moat? I mean, no, we know that 4 squares wide and the goblins won't try to jump it. So that should be fine. Now there will be a lot of dwarves hauling bits of material up here to build all of this. Ideally, I'd like them to melt down some more copper, but maybe we just use some wood for the last bit of the wall. Building on past experience. Whoops, what? No, I didn't mean to build the minecart track. BNL, not BNK. Oh, and we'll want some ramps on the inside as well, won't we? At least enough that we can get ourselves back out again. Right, let's see how that goes. Whether anyone will actually do anything is another matter entirely. But we can hope. Rather than like randomly picking up bits of goblin clothing. Well, at least digging the little moat section is going all right. This is the thing to stop the the goblins bypassing our carefully set up trap.
Traps. Good.
And then we can, if we then just remove the ramp sections other than at the back edge, we could remove all the ramp sections, but like we want dwarves to be able to get out of it again. Then that will mean that, oh hang on, no, that's not the right direction. We want to remove the ramp sections at all but the front edge. We want the goblins to be only able to get out by going back the way they came, of course. I mean, this won't be perfect because there's still one column of squares at the edge of the map that they can walk up. But all being well, they mostly won't do that because they do seem to like moving towards the river first. Actually, that also means that that's in the wrong place. We should similarly build the escape ramp on the goblin side of the swimming pool. Of course, we are going to need some ramps on this side, but we don't want too many because we want to put them near the places where we'll have the pressure plates. Yes, I still need to sort out the mechanisms by which we avoid drowning lots of dwarves in the process. So I suppose a simple approach would be to have the pressure plates, like somewhere over here that's only accessible when the that are like on pillars that have bridges that connect them up to the I mean, they don't even have to be only accessible, they merely have to only be useful when we have some bridges in place. No one actually seems to be trying to build these things at the moment. Is everyone getting interrupted? There's certainly at least some suspended construction events going on. Mostly there is a phenomenal amount of store item in stockpile jobs that are probably taking priority. Plus lots of people eating, drinking, sleeping, etc. Ooh. A merchant has been found drowned, but at least they weren't like part of the fortress, so it probably doesn't matter much. It's just a bit odd. Maybe they went mad. This is going to be fairly slow, isn't it? I think those animal inaccessible complaints probably indicate that there are creatures that are not in the right place. Okay, we have far too many ravens. We have far too many goblins in cages as well, but in general we just have too many creatures. I'm now constructing the cages containing a bunch of creatures that are not goblins. In order that they can be trained, the creatures in them might be more plausibly trained. That might help. Will of course distract from something else. I wonder if you can train giant jaguars for war. That might be quite useful. Don't think we have any giant jaguars trained yet. We do have war leopards, and we have some leopard cubs, which I'm hoping will grow up in due course. let us make sure that ravens are available as pets. Also, those should all be released. I think we may need to assign... Yes, you don't have a trainer assigned anymore. That's part of why. Probably ones that are... Let's just set anything that's currently got no trainer to any trainer. That's why things are going wild again. Though, I mean, there is an argument that allowing creatures to become wild but not agitated is a reasonable way to deal with the agitated wildlife. That essentially we train it, then allow it to become wild, and then release it. And at that point, it is no longer particularly ill-disposed towards the dwarves. Now, yes, just dismantle some cages that are no longer holding anything. Maybe I should just arrange to dump these vermin cages because they're just inconvenient. Let's deconstruct some vermin cages and then we'll just squish them, get them out of the way. I mean, I say that, but it does seem to take forever to get anything done around here. Oh yes, we should try to repopulate the lardy larks suitably, shouldn't we? With our more unhappy people. Why are you so unhappy? A bit hard to tell, you're rather too busy feeling nothing. Excuse me, I need to type a thing. Right, autoclaves gizzard stones. Still no walls built. But someone was training a raven, so that's clearly good. It's moving someone into the lardy larks who looked kind of unhappy. Has these been tamed yet? That cage appears to contain a dead giant hamster. That's not very helpful. That dog is tame and can be released from its cage. That rooster has just been released from its cage. That raven is now trained. That raven is now trained. That raven is now trained. I am quite approving of a fortress that started accumulating trained ravens. Though whether they're any good against goblins, I'm less certain. I think a bunch of tasks have got suspended, so let's see if we can unsuspend them. So no one is apparently building those walls even now. That should help a bit. Yes, possibly we should have like a tower somewhere and a pasture around it that is entirely full of ravens. That obviously feels like the right thing to do. Right, where should we put the tower then? Obviously, I suppose it has to go by the river, doesn't it? Just downstream of a lifting bridge. So that would put it about here. So let's see. If we blank out we make it a little no, we need to have the ravens around it, doesn't it? So we need it to be, we need to clear a 5 by, well, so let's clear a 5 by 5 area up here and declare that to be where the tower is. And then we'll construct like a 3 by 3 thing in, we really want it to be in like consistent stone. No. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Gabbro seems reasonable. I feel siltstone is not like up to an adequate standard, but Gabbro will do. It's going to be a very rough tower, you understand. then we of course we need to actually create. No, let's not put the ravens in until the tower's been built, which might take a long time given how long these walls are taking. All those job cancellations are dealt with, or moreover mostly boring. I think there is a bit of a problem that we're filling up this stockpile, which we probably shouldn't be doing at this stage. Let's switch that one to take from links only. Really, we should be taking the goblin parts from this stockpile and putting them into their appropriate train. Okay, apparently building my replica Tower of London is turning out to be a much higher priority than building my goblin drowning system, in that we've already got one of the pillars built, which is more than we have for the goblin drowning system. Because we've got too many ravens.
Right, yes.
Because someone has just tamed a load of ravens, so obviously we need a replica Tower of London to put the ravens around.
Right, yes. So, what's you building in town of limestone?
Gabbro, which turns out to be dark grey, which seems like a reasonable material.
I mean, classically it's rock because it's the White Tower of London, but you know. I'm sure we can get. And also, if anything sits around in London long enough, it stops being white.
Yeah, precisely. Someone is getting into a fight with a sea otter, which is a bit odd. I expect the sea otters don't tend to take routes that land them in our cages, though. Someone suspended construction of a wall, so I'm trying to find which wall it is and unsuspend it again.
Yeah, ravens are like half a metre tall. They're very distressing. And big. That's normal ravens, not like any of Ben's weird giant ravens.
Now these are perfectly ordinary ravens.
Okay.
I don't think we've seen giant ravens yet. But on the other hand, compared to dwarves, they're probably even bigger, as it were. Oh, there's a bunch of forbidden items in that square. We should fix that, because obviously we aren't going to be able to build on top of a Pile of forbidden items, right. So that will now cause the dwarves to have an enormous number of store item in stockpile jobs turning up. Excuse me, I've had to reorganise my legs because my knee was sore. Oh, I can use my laptop to warm my knee up. That'll probably make it feel better, at least briefly. Interrupted by agitated giant sea otter. That cage appears to be empty and can be removed. That cage appears to be empty and can be removed. That cage's construction has got suspended again. Resume it. That one has not. Just no one's got round to it yet.
Can I recommend this? It's not very foolish in 30 seconds.
That wren cage can be dumped because we are fed up with it, even though it will lead to the destruction of the wren. Snail cage, similarly. Lead cage can be removed because it is now empty. We are slowly organising ourselves here.
Thought you might enjoy this diagram. It looks like you've downloaded what was supposed to be square. Correct. This is a different use of this hierarchy of ultraliners. It's two different halt items of the plane that fit with that, according to the same rules that everything else has to obey. This is all going to be the whole article. I'm going to explain what this is all about. But
Right, the second corner of the replica Tower of London has been built.
I like the fact that the way the colours have been allocated, the diagonals are having green and purple flights.
Yes, I think we have determined that the dwarves are much more in favour of Claire's idea of building a replica Tower of London than my idea of building a thing for drowning goblins in, because they're about to build a third piece of the wall. That's nice. I'm kind of busy at the moment.
Yes, you hit the floor. It's a tower, it's just not the tower.
Tower in London.
Sadly, the pillars at the corner will stop being round once once all of the other corners have been built, unless I can think of a way to do this differently, which I can't currently.
Monks were black, back when the monks were black monks, before they went to brown.
Okay, this actually turns out to be extremely close to the railway that hauls dead goblins around. Might be we don't need the stairs up the middle of the tower, but we've got some walls now. Possibly that's enough tower that we can start assigning ravens to it. Right, I have now assigned the ravens to the pasture that surrounds the replica Tower of London. So probably I should have checked where that stray dog was found dead so that I could mark their corpse for disposal. There's a wombat corpse. It's not very relevant, but it should be disposed of as well. We need these sea otter teeth lying around. Kind of amused by the by this macadamia wood cage containing a goblin, which is adorned with hanging rings of date palm wood and citron wood, and it has a finely designed image of a rice plant in maple. And its major purpose is for hurling things into the sea. Does kind of look like an awful lot of the purpose of this, of my dwarves, is moving cages around now. Mostly because they seem to be prioritising that over moving dead goblins around. Let's dump the vermin cages because I've never really managed to make them work properly. Oh, enormous load of stampeding livestock, presumably running away from something. Oh, here's someone moving a raven while being followed by a load of other creatures, apparently. Oh dear, what's been found dead now? Oh, it's a bit worrying. One of our doctors has been missing. Are they up a tree? Found 2 dead ravens in a tree. Can't immediately find the dead doctor up a tree, which is the usual way that someone dies without being noticed. Curious. Still, population now down to 49. By means we do not yet understand. Maybe we will find their corpse in due course. There are so many corpses in the sea, it's kind of hard to distinguish which ones might be the new ones. Oh, I found another dead raven. Oh, we've suspended another bunch of constructions. I should have checked what caused them to be suspended, but whatever. If it's a problem, they'll get suspended. If it's a persistent problem, they'll get suspended again fairly shortly. A lot of the shallower bits of the sea are now just coated in crossbow bolts from successive waves of invading goblins.
Unfortunately, presumably there's no easy way to get them back.
No, we can drain the sea by one level fairly easily at the expense of flooding a lot of the fortress. Done that quite often. Draining it by more than that, well, possibly we could break into the sea from even further down, and thus get more of the sea into the fortress or wherever. But given we have plenty of objects we can melt down on the surface where the goblins have died,
Yes, I see your point.
I think the things that have fallen into the sea are staying in the sea.
The sea has claimed her own.
We can drain the river relatively easily, but I think the person who is hauling this raven to its correct location is currently has the slight problem that they're being followed by all the other ravens. Right, I think that yes, it may mean that the ravens don't mostly need to be forcibly moved. Right, we now have 2 ravens next to our replica Tower of London. Our replica Tower of London now has 3 corners out of its 4. So, like, it is slowly coming together.
When a raven comes together.
Though some of the remaining squares are going to take quite a lot of clearing. Okay, no, yes, 2 ravens are like standing on opposite corners of the tower now. We have a raven here and a raven here. We might want to install some nest boxes in the tower in due course. Oh, can we make allow them to go up the tower? That's obviously going to be necessary, isn't it? Can I go up a level and then say paint that area? Not clear, let's just check that. No, it looks like a pasture can only be 1 Z level deep, sadly. So the ravens are just going to stay at ground level, I am afraid. And Dwarf now working quite hard to clear the square that needs to have another bit of tower built on it. because someone died there. Indeed, several goblins, I suspect, have died on that square.
It's not so much we didn't mean to get in the sea, it's more we didn't mean to get the sea in Dwarf Fortress. And this will make no sense when someone listens back to it later. Or responds to something else.
Right, how's this going? Have we built the other? Right now, right, we've now got the. Oh, I've just found a dwarf in a tree which has a staircase next to it.
Oh my god, so the dwarf might be able to get out of the
No, because the dwarf is dead. But why is the dwarf in the tree?
well, probably because he went upstairs.
Yes, but they could get back down.
Maybe he got distracted. Maybe he got shocked by a goblin.
Please stop doing this, dwarves. Well, we'll cut down the tree so we can get the dwarf out of the tree. I mean, in theory, someone could go up the stairs. Look, they're right next to the stairs.
Probably too confusing. And then all that will happen is it'll be like rooms that have no oxygen left in them. We'll end up with 2 casualties in the tree instead of 1 casualty that's already dead and someone else who hasn't become a casualty yet.
Right, let us now build the turrets on the tower, which I suppose we could make them ramps which look like turrets, or do we make them vertical pillars? No, we'll make them vertical pillars. Oh, I'm out of Gabbro blocks. That's inconvenient. I thought I'd arranged to have enough. One of the turrets will be made of tetrahedrite instead.
Sounds like a honourable compromise or something.
Oh, I just spotted a raven on top of the tower, so they're not entirely restraining themselves to the ground level. Right, so there. Once it's got those 4 turrets at the 4 corners, I think that will be an adequate replica Tower of London. Oh, the dwarves have finally started building the goblin drowning system.
Hey.
And are also apparently hauling away peach-faced lovebird corpses. Giant peach-faced lovebird corpses, indeed. Oh, our giant jaguar is trained.
To do what?
That's a good question. Can we train them for war? Because that sounds like a good plan.
How's the leopard programme going?
The second generation have not yet grown up.
Right.
The second generation are still cubs, i.e. the ones who were born to the one. We bought 2 leopards from the elves. We trained them for war, but we don't actually really want to let them at the goblins because they're our breeding stock. We then have a second generation of currently 5 leopard cubs who are as yet still cubs and hence can't be trained for war. But I think the plan is that they will probably become the next generation, the generation that actually is used for eating goblins' faces, and we'll station them like somewhere where they will encounter the goblins before the dwarves do, but after the drowning pool. And then we'll see how well they last. Oops, I moved again. Anyway, yes, I was wanting to look up the the giant jaguar in this list and see if it can be trained for war. If I can find it.
I assume it's not very searchable, this list.
I could probably search it, yes. There is a search box at the bottom. There is a war button, right? Let's click the war button. Obviously, if we could end up with a breeding stock of giant jaguars, that might be quite useful against the goblins. I suspect they are much better at fighting than, say, giant hamsters are. Just wandering around these and seeing if anything's got trained while I wasn't looking. Oh, we have hit at the end of another year, which means that there's probably going to be another batch of goblins turning up in a moment. Look, we still haven't finished constructing the system for drowning you. Plus a bunch of our military are probably somewhat undertrained at the moment. Bet half of them haven't put their armour on. Right. Hello, can you finish saving the world information, please? Which is not the same as saving the world. Right. So you've got some tribute. Oh yes, the usual thing. At the start of the new year, a bunch of creatures have died. Ideally, I would find the corpses and mark them for disposal.
However,
Can you not click on each of them in the...
I can, but that only centres the view
yes.
on it. So then,
And brilliantly, the exact square that appears bearded was blocked by the dialogue box at the moment it flipped to it.
yes. I can spot quite a lot of turkey corpses now. Someone's teeth ended up in a stack. I didn't know you could stack teeth.
no, that's just one dwarf being Eurysmith creepy.
I think that's all the ones I can see here. I think that's all those dead dwarves marked, dead pets marked for disposal. I am a little concerned that we're about to get another batch of goblins. And we're not really ready. Necrogopolis Railway is still being loaded up. In theory. In practice, it seems that that tends to be a very low priority task. Do we have any interesting tribute? I bet we don't. Seem to have missed one anyway. The faint autumn sent us 5 apples as tribute. The speechless diamond has sent us 1 maple barrel and 1 earthenware lular drum, which is some part of a musical instrument, I think. Yes, 5 apples is definitely suggesting that they don't see us as a threat anymore. Which is kind of fair. Oh, it's only a small vial, Force of Darkness, because they didn't ask for a parley. Indeed. Given how small a group that is. Also spotted 1 goblin snatcher. There's a good chance they're just going to leave the map. No, they are actually making some effort at attacking. Oh wow! I think they may have crossed the river by climbing trees. Right. We should do something about that fairly promptly then. Happily, there's a spear dwarf here who can probably make short work of these goblins. Even though they're spending all their time dodging crossbow bolts from 3 different directions. Right, they can calm down now. There are slightly fewer goblins firing at them. At least I assume this goblin is currently climbing a tree. Because, like, they're over the river, but also under a tree. There's another goblin who's just crossed the river. Would you like to deal with them too? Yes. Right, that was some very efficient goblin marmalising. Odom Olin Erleth. Have a quick run through what they were doing. So, yes. Lots of stabbing with their weapon of, which is presumably a spear, given they're yellow. We only get its name. Yes, most of the arrows and crossbow bolts just missed. We got a martial trance, at least briefly, and charging at goblins, doing quite serious damage to the goblins' clothing. So far we haven't seen any attacks that have actually hit the militia captain. Oh, some attacks did like bounce off the goblin's armour briefly when the militia captain decided to try to bite the goblin in the head rather than like using a spear. But yes, that seems to have been an entirely one-sided fight between one legendary spear dwarf wielding, what is your object? A copper spear, right? A pretty good copper spear, but still. Versus about 6 goblins, one of whom is dead on the wrong side of the river. Oh no, that's a completely different goblin. That's nothing to do with this batch. Right, we can cancel that station order then. And you're still unhappy. Oh right, you did actually find that quite scary. She is afraid after experiencing trauma, though not, I think, in the strict medical sense. Conveniently, absolutely inexhaustible, basically unbreakable, unbelievably strong, very agile, quite quick to heal, and very rarely sick. Which is, I think, why she's quite so scary. And has just repelled a goblin siege, albeit a very small one, single-handed. Still, I think that means we won't get a big goblin siege this season. We found more dead animals. A horse and a donkey on this level. It doesn't matter so much the ones that have died on the surface, to be fair. No, that's not a horse, that's a hamster. I think we might have found the horse before the dwarves did. This is door construction suspended again. Should I actually look at why? No, it's not suspended at the moment. That was just an old message. Right, good. Right, Steph. Also found a stray water buffalo cow dead. So many dead goblins. I mean, I think part of our problem is that our mechanised system for disposing of goblins tends to take a lower priority than like most of the other jobs, including dumping things other than goblins. So, like, it doesn't actually happen very much. Bet you're butchering something I don't want you to butcher. Oh well. To be fair, there isn't much that I do want butchered, really. Oh. One of our grizzly bears got killed. That's a pity. Wonder how that grizzly died. That's slightly worrying if it might have been like a goblin. It suggests that grizzlies are not very scary on their own. There's the interesting thing that if a goblin dies in a cage, then the cage ceases being, for at least stockpile selection purposes, a goblin cage and becomes a generic cage, and therefore ends up stored in the generic empty cages stockpile. Not sure whether dumping the corpse from inside an empty cage works. Always a bit hard to tell because, of course, dumping jobs are fairly low priority. They're not quite as low priority as store item in vehicle. What are the dwarves doing, given that they don't seem to be doing anything I want them to do? Okay, yes, a lot of them, I suppose, are now possibly more than is useful, are engaged in various military pursuits. And others are doing things that possibly aren't necessary. No, they're not even doing Claire's bidding. That's part of the problem. Just realised we should have a floor over the entrance to the tower. We've apparently lost a stray giant hamster and a stray dog. Have they ended up in a tree somewhere? Let's mark that tree for felling to get the corpse out of it, because it doesn't look like it's coming out by any other means. I'm wondering, what is this dwarf up to? All right. Finding some clothes. Any clothes would be nice. He's currently wearing only a leopard leather shirt. Well, okay, and some goblin blood.
All these fashion ones
I think this comes of being wearing only a shirt while walking around outside, which is a good way to get whatever's on the floor on your feet. They found something unhappy and now have a coating of tears on their eyes. Though most people have coatings of tears on their eyes all the time, not just when they're unhappy. Now they're probably going to get... Oh, they didn't gain a coating of water from walking through the waterfall.
For some reason my brain went, some of them have tears on their knees.
Right, well done. You've put a second leather shirt on. I'm now just watching this dwarf because they're behaving well dwarfily, frankly. They seem to have decided that now what they're doing is finding clothes, and today's clothes are... There's a badger next to me. Oh, and 2 shirts and a tunic. Okay, what next? This is exciting. Well, it's not very exciting, but it's also almost midnight, so... I'm quite happy for the dwarves not to be exciting for a bit. Just curious what this one's after. Oh no, now you've dumped everything apart from a right glove. I mean, not dumped, deposited in a stockpile. And now you've put a new tunic on. Or a militia captain, can't you be slightly more organised than that, than this? I mean, possibly we need to make our armour storage a little more organised, but trying to do that will lead to immense amounts of people carrying stuff around the fortress again. Right, back down into the bedrooms and... Oh! 2 left gloves, a right glove and a tunic. Still looking for more clothes. Finding quite creative routes around the place. Two left gloves, 2 right gloves and a tunic. I'm very confused by this. Like, also some of these are tagged as being... Oh right, that's your regular clothing, not your military kit. Though I am slightly uncertain why you're doing that. Because, like, shouldn't you be wearing your military garb mostly? Some socks. Like, you do seem to be being very inefficient about this. Most of these you've picked up from like 2 different locations, but you're doing them alternately. I think you missed the... Yes. Ambivalent after putting on an exceptional item. Briefly vengeful when joining an existing conflict.
Okay, I'll be ambivalent after putting on an exceptional item if I couldn't tell what kind of item it was.
I think it might have been a glove, but I'm not sure. And now there's apparently an elven caravan here.
Was that person wearing 3 gloves? Or did I-
4, I think.
Oh, okay.
Much more sensible number.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Anyway, I think we have to stop watching that dwarf, and we should possibly at least think about moving items to the trade depot in case the elves have brought something fun.
That's not anything. This is very, very half finished. I'm currently generating all this.
That'll do. Yes, I think we will. There is nothing very interesting going on, so we will probably stop this stream at more or less midnight. Yes.
Start thinking about going home. Not that I have to get up tomorrow, but sleep is still useful.
Just seeing if there's any odd suspended jobs I need to unsuspend. Nope.
It's okay. Probably by Wednesday I'll kind of got over the idea that I have to be up super early in the morning and don't have to get up early in the morning again. So, you know. This is how long weekends work.
Yes, it does rather look like the major things that people are doing are... The major useful people appear to be this one child who is storing items in stockpiles, which isn't very useful.
Maybe storing items in stockpiles is her special interest. Which is why she's being halfway useful. That as soon as, you know, she can't store items in stockpiles, she will go into a terrible meltdown. Sweet trials.
Yes. Oh no, that's part of a goblin. Goblin parts get disposed of separately. Eventually. Like, it used to be that we carefully put goblin heads on pedestals in order to scare the goblins. Now we don't bother, and there are just goblin bits lying around all over the place for the goblins to be scared by. Right, it is midnight, and so I think it's probably about time we stopped. In a situation where the major problem is that we are still getting overwhelmed with goblin corpses, and we are still very slowly losing population, given that we started the evening with 51 dwarves and we now have 49. So I think we will say good night, and we will see you later, probably on Friday. So until then, good night.